Hello everybody, it's Donna. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am working on day 8 of the 31 Days Craft Challenge. Yes, it's supposed to be day 18, so I'm about 10 days behind, but that's okay. Any crafting time is better than nothing. Today I'm going to be making this Valentine's Day card using some scraps of paper as well as an embossing folder and some shimmer mist and other good stuff. Today I'm going to be using the Meant to Be stamp set that's in the annual catalog. I'm going to be using 3 images, basically the heart that's going to be going on the inside, and a couple of sentiments as well. I have them already prepared onto my stamp blocks and ready to go. I'm also going to need a small stitched rectangle framelit die. That's going to be for the sentiment, as well as I'm using the coordinating die set from the stamp set, Be Mine Stitch Framelit dies. I'm pretty much just using I am just using the biggest heart. This is one of the hearts that I've used in several other videos. This card was actually supposed to be using up the hearts that I used for Timeless Tulips card, but it didn't go as planned and I ended up just using it and doing something else entirely. You're also going to need some kind of embellishment. I'm using some white sequins, some stamping dimensionals, and then you're going to need a piece of double-sided adhesive, 4 inches by 4 inches. I'm using Stick It double-sided adhesive. You could use the Sizzix brand, whatever works for you, whatever you have. You also need a 4 by 4 inch piece of Whisper White. You'll also need two more pieces of Whisper White. For the inside, you're going to need a piece 5 by 3 3/4. For the outside, you'll need a piece 5 1/4 by 4. You'll also need the card base, which is going to be 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. Some 2 stamping pads. I'm using Basic Gray and Highland Heather. You're also going to need some little strips of paper. I didn't mean for these to be even, it just worked out that way. I'm just using scraps. They're all 1 inch by about 4 inches. They can be different width. It's not going to make too much difference as long as they're not too wide. I'm going to use you need basically 4 of the main color and then 4 of the pattern colors. I'm using a sponge dauber. I'm going to sponge the edges with the coordinating color of Highland Heather. I'm just sponging the edges on both sides very gently. Okay, once we've sponged both edges on all the sheets of paper, little pieces of paper, we're going to take the double-sided adhesive and attach the 4 by 4 piece of Whisper White cardstock to it. And we do that just by removing, usually the double-sided adhesive has a little score line in it, so you can remove part of the backing paper without exposing all of it. And then you just plop down the Whisper White on top. You could then go back and remove the other piece of release paper. And just smooth that down on top. I'm going to use something to make sure that to burnish it really well. You can use like a gift card or something like that just to burnish it so that it sticks really well to the cardstock. Now I'm going to be turning it over. I'm going to be releasing or exposing, I guess, the sticky part on that is now attached to the Whisper White cardstock. I don't want it all exposed because I don't want to have any problem with it sticking to anything else. And I'm going to start attaching these strips to it. Obviously I'm going to have the part that we sponged up, and I'm just going from the bottom to the top. You don't have to be precise, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want any white showing in between the strips. By adding the sponging in on these strips, it just gave it a more smooth finish than if it wasn't there. Okay, we're going to continue to add the strips of cardstock, alternating it with the DSP all the way up to the top. These are just scraps. They're from my scrap pile. I do believe these are probably last year's either Gingham Gala or DSP from last year's available colors. They do have little bits at the back side that I could cut them off, but it doesn't really bother me because I'm just going to die cut it anyways. I'm going to take the heart. I don't want the heart to be, the stripes to be horizontal or vertical. I kind of want it on the diagonal, so I'm going to make sure that the placement is correct. I'm just going to use a little bit of Scotch removable tape to hold the die in place while I run it through my die cut machine. This die creates 2 hearts, the center heart there, plus as well as a scallop frame heart that sometimes you might need a pokey tool. This time I actually think it came out pretty easily out from the die. And there we go. There's the two pieces that the die has given us. I'm going to take some of my ink and sponge around the edges just to give it again to make it transition nicely. So, and to cover up any white that you might see from the back of it. I'm just going to do that all the way around. I'm going to do that around on the big heart as well as the frame heart. Once those two pieces have been sponged, we're going to take our embossing folder and we're going to apply some ink to it. We're almost using it as almost like a press of sorts. So we're going to press color as well as embossing it into the piece. When the embossing folder is up and facing you, so it's upright and facing you, you're actually going to apply the ink to right there where I'm applying it. That is actually the front, but it's the back of the front. And what I'm trying to say is that piece has more of the indentations in it, because that's how you're getting that raised embossed look, is pushing the paper into those indentations. So this is again the back of the front. So when it's facing you, it's the back of the front that I'm applied the ink to. Now I put the paper on the bottom of it and closed it. So now it's face up. Hopefully that made sense. And I'm going to run it through my die cut machine. So there we have a beautiful piece of embossed paper with the ink applied basically into the background of it. So the raised part remained white and the background picked up some of the Highland Heather color that we used. It's not strong and it's not solid. It's more like a marbly type look, or it fades in and out in different spots. Now I'm going to use the inside piece, which is the smaller piece of the two white ones we had, and I'm going to stamp the sentiment as well as the heart down the corner. Now the heart, I wanted it stamped lighter, so I'm just going to stamp it off once and then stamp it again in the corner. Using basic gray, we're going to stamp the sentiment in the center of that piece as well. Okay, so now we're just going to stamp the outside sentiment, the Happy Valentine's Day, onto a scrap piece of Whisper White using basic gray. Then we're going to use the stitch rectangle die and send that through our Big Shot machine. And as we did with everything else, we're just going to take our sponge dauber and sponge the outside edge of this piece as well as the embossed piece. Once that's done, one of our final steps is to add some shimmer to the embossed piece. I'm just using a champagne shimmer mist mixed with rubbing alcohol in the spray bottle, and I'm going to move that away from my desk to spray because I just don't want to breathe it in. You don't see it very well in the picture, but it does show up really nice in real life. Okay, now we're just ready to attach everything. Taking the inside piece, I'm using a tape runner to attach the inside piece. You can use your snail adhesive or whatever adhesive you prefer. And I'm going to attach that just to the inside. Now for the heart frame that we need to attach to the embossed piece, we need something really strong. So I'm going to use the fine tip glue pen. And I'm just going to run glue around the outside of it. Because I don't want, it's such a narrow piece, I don't want that glue squirting out onto my project. So I'm going to run the glue bead all the way around it. But then I'm going to tap off the piece on that piece of scrap paper there. Using the glass media mat as a guide, I'm just going to line up my card front so that I can center the heart pretty much exactly where I want it. I'm just going down about 3/4 of an inch, and then using the line to make sure the top and bottom is pretty even. I'm just going to press that down and then use some stamp blocks just to hold it in place while it dries. Now for the center heart, I'm going to use dimensionals to pop that up, as well as the sentiment for the center. Just releasing the release paper from the back of the sentiment, attaching it to the center of the heart. Again, using my media mat to help line it up. My outside frame heart should be pretty much dry now. So my center heart is ready to attach. I'm just going to remove the release paper from the back of it and attach it to the front of my card. Now I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to attach the front of the card to the card base. Because of all the nooks and crannies, I felt that liquid adhesive would just stay stronger and get into all the little nooks and crannies that I needed it to be in order to attach it. Final step for this card is to just add an embellishment. So I'm taking my white rhinestones. I'm just going to add 3 to the heart. This card also would have looked amazing with some ribbon or maybe a bow or some other type of embellishment. The other cards that I did today, I also did one in Flirty Flamingo. I also did them in coordinating cardstock, where the background, instead of being white, was in a coordinating cardstock. Okay, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. And as is usual, to support me, please feel free to jump on over to my online store using that host code. Any orders over $50 will receive a small gift from me. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you next time for day 9.